I like to start off my research unit by reading this metaphor. It's kind of a famous metaphor by a famous rhetorician named Kenneth Burke. And I think that it explains the research process beautifully, though it can be a little complicated. So I'm going to read the metaphor and then I'll go back and kind of explain why I think it illustrates how we should all be conducting research for argumentative and college level papers. So Kenneth Burke writes, imagine that you enter a parlor. You come late. When you arrive, others have long preceded you, and they are engaged in a heated discussion, a discussion too heated for them to pause and tell you exactly what it is about. In fact, the discussion had already begun long before any of them got there, so that no one present is qualified to retrace for you all the steps that had gone before. You listen for a while until you decide that you have caught the tenor of the argument. Then you put in your or. Someone answers, you answer him. Another comes to your defense. Another aligns himself against you to either the embarrassment or gratification of your opponent, depending upon the quality of your ally's assistance. However, the discussion is interminable. The hour grows late. You must depart, and you do depart with the discussion still vigorously in progress. So I like this as a metaphor for research because I think it illustrates what you should be doing rather than what students often do, which I call quote hunting. You're kind of skimming a text, looking for a quote that fits your claim or supports your argument, rather than actually becoming acquainted with the topic. So imagine that you enter a parlor. That's ultimately a paper being assigned to you. You've been told to research, and now you need to kind of learn about that topic. You come late. When you arrive, others have long preceded you. They are engaged in a heated discussion, a discussion too heated for them to pause and tell you exactly what it is about. There's kind of this old adage that everything has already been discussed, and that's true in some ways. So when you get assigned a paper or an argumentative topic, you need to listen first. You need to kind of understand where the conversation has started or evolved from and where the conversation is now. Um, but some topics are so old that you can't retrace it all the way back from the beginning. So you want to just contextualize yourself with kind of the current place that the argument stands. You listen for a while until you decide that you have caught the tenor of the argument, and then you put in your or, which is a rowing metaphor. So listening is the research process. You should be reading around, not just hunting for quotes that you can use. You might be reading things that you are ultimately not going to use, but still inform your opinion and still inform your research. Then, once you have collected all of that information, once you feel acquainted with the ability to talk on the topic, you start to interject yourself into the conversation. You start writing. Someone answers, you answer him. Another comes to your defense. Another aligns himself against you. That's using your sources. You want to create your research more like a conversation. You're engaging with people's ideas, not just shoving their words into a paragraph to support your own argument. Um, Another aligns himself against you to either the embarrassment or gratification of your opponent. That's addressing your opposition. So there's going to be people that don't agree with you and don't agree with your stance, and you have to address them and help explain to them why they are wrong or why part of their argument may be fallacious or not well thought out. And then finally, at some point you reach the page limit or you have put in your 2 cents on this particular topic. The hour grows late, you must depart, and you do depart with the discussion still vigorously in progress. Even though your paper is over and you have made your case, the argument goes on, and other people may be able to use the points that you have brought up to assist them. And I think that closing the loop is really helpful in creating strong, airtight or as airtight as you can get arguments that engage your readers, not just kind of force direct quotes and paraphrases into your paragraph. So I like this as a way to contextualize kind of how you should be approaching the research process, which is learning first and writing second. It's hard to make those two things go together. I hope this metaphor helps in our further discussion of finding and evaluating sources.